The stones were too heavy for the small creature to move.
What was I doing below those stones?
The creature wondered, standing next to the hole it just crawled out of. In the middle of the clearing there was a mound of stones that seemed to have concealed something. Stuck between the stones were two branches tied together to form a cross. On the ground there was a wooden bowl filled with what used to be flowers of vibrant colours, most likely gathered and forgotten long ago. The small creature looked at the old forgotten plants.
I wonder if they ever got the chance to be appreciated for their beauty.
The small creature carefully picked up the bowl along with the dried flowers. As the small creature explored its surroundings, tiny drops of rain began to fall from the dark sky. There was a small spring in the clearing reflecting the night sky. In the middle of the spring you could see the reflection of a large star. Something about this star seemed different from the others around it.
What a beautiful place!
The small, insignificant creature thought to itself, admiring the reflected glow of the stars. The creature tried to collect some of the cold water, but was unable to keep the elusive liquid in its hands. No matter how hard it tried, the small creature couldn't reach any of the stars. The sky had a strange feeling to it that night, almost as if the stars themselves had come to life, trying their hardest to make up for the absence of the moon's glow.
There are so many of them,
the small creature thought while gazing up into the sky.
I wonder how such small things can shine so brightly.
As the small creature walked across the field, stalks began to sprout from the wet soil. The rain had caused a couple of the seeds sown by the farmer to grow rapidly, an occurrence you would only be able to see during a night like this one.
I wonder if I grew that fast when I was born,
the small creature pondered. The small creature managed to pick up a handful of oats off the stalks.
Hello?
The small creature uttered nervously, but the scarecrow remained silent. In the middle of the field there stood a rugged scarecrow, seemingly looking up into the starlit sky. Touching the scarecrow, the creature could feel the dry hay prickling it through the burlap. The small creature, although curious, decided not to approach the farmer's house in fear of being seen. On a hill beside the field there was an old house, which looked to have been the home of many generations of people tending the land. The small creature quietly watched the house.
I wonder what it's like to have a place to call home. I very much would like to know what it feels like.
The windmill was too far away for the small creature to touch it. In the distance, you could barely make out an old windmill used to mill the grain harvested from the fields. The small creature watched the dark shape of the windmill.
What a tall building,
It thought.
What wonderful things would one be able to see from up there?
One of the crates looked to have been broken long ago, now containing only a few forgotten objects.
Maybe I could find something of use in it.
The small creature thought, its eyes glistening with anticipation. In the remains of the old crate, the small creature found a ball of yarn. There was an old kettle covered in dirt laying on the ground.
This looks useful,
The small creature said to itself.
I wonder if I could take it.
The small creature tried to brush some of the dirt off as it picked up the old kettle. Rays of light found their way down between the boards, revealing a room filled with old objects, long since covered in dust.
I wonder what it's like up there.
The small creature thought, mesmerized by the bright light. The small creature watched as elusive particles of dust effortlessly evaded its attempts to grab them. A sewing needle had been stuck into an old rug, slightly reflecting the light coming from the ceiling.
I should be careful not to touch the pointy end.
The small creature stated. The small creature picked up the sewing needle with care, making sure not to hurt itself. In the far corner of the dark room sat an old hustumpt, stroking his long grey beard. These household deities guard the farmers' homes, keeping any unpleasant beings at bay while watching over the daily chores involved in running the household. As the creature approached the corner of the room, a grumpy voice emanated from the darkness.
Who are you to enter my home uninvited? If you came to steal, know that a meager creature like you would be no match for me.
In the dark corner sat an old hustumpt, staring at the creature.
Please forgive me.
The small creature responded anxiously.
I didn't mean to disturb you. I was simply curious about this place. I'm lost, you see.
The hustumpt looked at the creature for quite a while before breaking the silence.
Well, you certainly don't look capable enough to be the thieving kind,
he muttered to himself.
But if I find that you conspired with him to steal my hat, you will be sorry you revealed yourself to me.
The hustumpt became quiet for a while, seemingly calming down.
Although perhaps I could be persuaded to part with a couple of my belongings in return for something to calm my hunger. After all, most of these items have been gathering dust down here for as long as I can remember. But don't bring me anything fancy. I don't like brown nosing. Anything that will take care of my growling stomach will do.
A pair of wooden cartwheels had been partially buried in mud over the years.
I wonder why they were left here. Didn't the farmer need them anymore?
The small creature thought to itself. The cartwheels were buried too deep for a small creature to pull them out of the ground. The top part of the shaft had been broken and was barely attached to the rest of the tool, now unusable for working the fields.
I think I could break it off.
The small creature said.
The tool doesn't look to be of much use to the farmer anymore.
As the small creature touched it, the top part of the shaft easily came off. Next to the shed laid a pile of moist, old firewood.
It's too bad the farmer didn't move the wood inside after working so hard to cut it.
The small creature thought as it looked at the pile of unusable firewood. The moist firewood was of no use to the small creature. As the small creature moved closer to the fireplace, it could feel a faint warmth emanating from the coals.
What a nice feeling.
The creature thought to itself as it curled up beside the fireplace, trying to warm its small body next to the coals. Even though the fire had been put out, the coals seemed too hot to touch. The warmth emanating from the coals had almost faded when something seemed to reignite them. The small creature watched the coals for a while, spellbound by their calming glow. There was an old piece of cloth lying on the ground, seemingly being used as a doormat.
It looks like someone has been wiping their feet on it.
The small creature stated.
Hey!
An angry voice emanated from the shed as the creature was about to pick up the piece of cloth laying on the ground.
I found that. If you want it, you'll just have to bring me something else that I can use.
An old guard stump appeared to have made the shed his home. A guard stump is a being that tends to the farmer's land and tools, watching over the daily activities on the farm to make sure that nothing bad befalls it or its inhabitants. The guard stump was staying inside of the shed, out of the creature's reach.
Hello?
The small creature said politely.
Who are you?
The guard stomped looked at the creature.
I'm the one who looks after this place. No simple task, mind you. The master of the farm hasn't been tending to the land enough this season, so I have to make up for his stupidity by working myself to the bone.
The guard stomped muttered in a stern yet slightly proud voice.
You're a small one, aren't you? I haven't seen something like you before. Where did you come from?
The small creature looked at the guard stomped.
I'm not sure. I remember waking up beneath a stone mound, and as I crawled out, the first thing I saw was the stars. Do you know why I'm here?
The small creature asked hopefully.
I see. Beneath the old stone mound.
The guard stomped appeared to remember something, becoming quiet for a moment before continuing.
No, I'm afraid I don't know why you were born into this place, little one. Nor do I think there is truly a place for you here at the farm. You should look for a place of your own elsewhere.
The small creature hung its head for a moment after hearing the guard stomp's response.
Don't fret, little one. You'll find your place in this world, I'm sure of it. This farm has simply never been that place.
I wonder why someone would leave this here, although it does look a bit heavy.
The small creature thought to itself. On the ground there was an old grinding stone, partially buried in the dirt. It looked to have been left there a long time ago. The small creature barely managed to pick up the heavy grinding stone. At the edge of the woods there was another circle of mushrooms, seemingly too small to dance in. Some believe that certain elf circles hold the power to transport Alvor and people alike across vast distances.
I wonder why this one is so small. Could it be that Alvor vary in size?
The creature wondered, while trying to imagine a small gathering inside of the ring. The small creature thought about taking one of the mushrooms, but they didn't look all that tasty. It is believed that circles of mushrooms spring up when Alv appear to join one another in dance. If an unlucky man or woman should join them in their dance, they would find that time passes faster within the Alv circle, and years may go by while they are engrossed in a few moments of joyful dance.
I wonder why this one is larger than the other one.
The small creature said to itself while pondering the reason for its size. The small creature thought about taking one of the mushrooms, but they didn't look all that tasty. In the circle laid a pile of bones.
Do I look like this on the inside?
The small creature wondered, looking hard at the bones, trying to make out their original positions. The creature searched the ground for anything useful. Amongst the shattered bones, one piece seemed to be sharper than the others. Suddenly, as the small creature stood silently next to the large stone, beautiful glowing beings joined in dance appeared out of the darkness. The creature beheld them in awe before they, just as quickly as they appeared, vanished into thin air, seemingly unaware of the small creature who so longed to reach out to them. large stone could often be found at the center of owl circles. How they got there, no one seemed to know. In some of the stones there were holes, said to be surrounded by strange symbols. These holes could be used to summon and gain boons from Alvor by presenting them with a gift. On the other hand, if the offering was not to their liking, the boon would instead turn into misfortune.
Is there really someone strong enough to move a stone like this?
The creature looked at the large stone, its eyes filled with fear and admiration alike. Reaching into the hole, the small creature felt something flat, round and hard. As it removed the object from the hole, it saw that it was an old coin,